Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Force Strategy Gaming. Today we're going to be looking at a game between Huck and Tosh. Huck, of course, is our blue Protoss player here, and Tosh being the red Terran player. Now before we get into any of the fun and excitement of the match, let's just talk about the map for a little bit. This is something I like to do at the beginning of all of the matches. If this is something that you enjoy as well, please do let me know. I know for a lot of the maps I'll be saying more or less the same thing, but I guess for newcomers it would be something that's beneficial. So in these particular positions, what are we going to expect from this game? Well, in these positions with the ramps basically facing each other and these two bases being so close to each other, we can expect a relatively short and aggressive game. Why can we expect this? We can expect this for two reasons. One of which, of course, is that the run distance from point A to point V is very, very short. This is one of the shortest possible. The other shortest possible, of course, being from this position to this position. But on top of that, expanding is a little bit difficult on this map. You can, of course, expand to your natural somewhat safely, moving your frontal wall basically and your units and your defenses to the front of the expansion. But beyond that, it's a little hard. This third expansion is going to be right inside of your opponent's face, basically. So they're obviously going to be up in your face as well. And moving over here to this high yield, well, that's not going to be very easy either because of all these wide openings to that expansion. And then, of course, you have the option of moving to the far backside of the map, way over here. But the problem with that is that any sort of drops or any small task forces of units attacking back here is going to quite easily take it out, because you, of course, are not going to have all of your defenses back here at this natural and leave your main base wide open. So yes, it does become very difficult to defend those expansions beyond that first natural. So as such, we tend to see shorter games on these positions on these types of maps. Taking a look at the action here, we do, of course, have Liquid Huck scouting his opponent, getting a good idea of exactly what Tosh is doing. He's seeing nothing but the ordinary, pretty standard for Tosh thus far. This Marine's coming out, so he does know he's going to have to vacate the premises fairly shortly. Over here in Huck's space, we see Tosh moving around, seeing fairly standard stuff as well. Cybernetics core going down. He does know at this point he doesn't have to worry about an early 2-gate push, which, I haven't seen much of since the beta, to be honest. You're not seeing a lot of 2-gate pushes anymore. It used to be very, very popular. But I guess once players figured out how to fend it off, basically, then you're seeing it not nearly as much. Huck, of course, having this one pylon powering up here. This, of course, is a weak point for Tosh to try to exploit if he does attack, unless he gets another pylon up here to power these buildings. Could be a little bit of a problem. Tosh removing his SCV back to his base. Looks like Huck is coming up, trying to get a secondary scout as well, or at least try to get vision of the high ground. Getting vision of the high ground here is going to allow him to see any sort of push coming. The one problem with these positions on this map is that taking control of Zelnanga towers doesn't inform you of an early push. It does inform you of maybe a drop that tries to circumvent and tries to not go in this area, so that would help you with that. But aside from that, not really going to help you too much. It's also going to help you maybe see if your opponent tries to push out and expand somewhere back there. Moving up with that secondary scout, Huck does just want to get an idea of what's going on. He's going to see those Marines, and he might die to those Marines as well. Micro, not quite enough. So Huck was able to get away. Excellent job by him. First Stalker and Zealot out. Looks like Huck is being aggressive, and what is that? That is a Stargate. That is a very early Stargate from Huck. Very unorthodox play. Warp Gate research, of course, coming in, but geez, that Stargate is really early. Are we going to be seeing Void Rays? That's probably the most likely thing. Not expecting to see Phoenixes. It's possible, but not nearly as effective against Terran as it is against, say, a Zerg opponent. So he does intend on being aggressive, clearly. Here's that pylon going down. Probably going to be warping in units for when he does push. Obviously, having a proxy pylon near your opponent's base for when you're pushing allows for quicker reinforcements. Now let's see what Tosh has going on in his base. It is coming out with that starport, so going out for that ever popular 1-1-1 build. Also has a tech lab coming down on this factory, so we might be seeing some siege tanks coming out of him. We'll see in a moment, I'm sure. First Void Ray coming out right now for Huck. Now, is Tosh prepared for this? He does have these Marines. Marines, of course, are very effective. The problem is that the Void Ray pushing out with a couple of Zealots enforcing, basically, trying to take care of any of the Marines, becomes very difficult for a Terran player to deal with. Huck is spotting those Marines push out, so he's definitely going to want to avoid that. Hellion going around, trying to just be a nuisance, but not going to do enough damage. Wasn't able to really push in the Huck space either. Oh, that did a little bit of damage. Looks like that probe took some damage. So Void Ray coming out right now, and I'm not sure that Tosh is prepared to deal with this. Marines in this bunker, yeah, sure, they're going to do good, but again, the idea is that if Huck gets enough units warped in as well, basically to assist the Void Ray is going to be allowed to charge up and do massive amounts of damage. So we're going to see this push in just a moment. Bunch of SCVs. Tosh is clearly aware of this. He's getting prepared for the push. I'm not sure if he knew about the Void Ray, though, so the Void Ray, again, is going to do massive damage. Once it gets charged up, it's going to be pretty much impossible for him to continue to repair anything like that. What are you doing with that Void Ray, Huck? Do some damage. There we go. So, again, target firing that supply depot. Is he going to be moving into the mineral line? That's a possibility. Again, once this gets charged up, look how difficult it is. He's going to be target firing those SCVs with the Stalkers, so they're obviously not going to be able to repair it. But a Viking out for Tosh now, so going to be able to repel that pretty easily as long as he keeps the Viking away from the Stalkers. Huck is still, of course, doing damage. Coming out with a Thor as well. Holy cow. So he's definitely prepared for that, and the Void Ray does go down, but not after doing pretty significant damage. Now, back here in Huck's base, we are seeing an Immortal coming out, so he's preparing for a more aggressive push. He's going to continue to push out. He stopped the Void Ray production, just wanted to go with that first initial one, and that was that. There are no more Void Rays on the board, I don't believe. No, there are not. So, yeah, he's just going to continue to be aggressive, it seems, but without the Void Ray. This is a good idea. This is kind of a good gameplay, basically. You hit with one type of unit and then you push out with a second push with something completely different, hoping that, of course, your opponent overcompensates. Now, not a lot in Tosh's base right now. He does have this bunker, which is going to help defend him a bit, the Thor and 2 Vikings. So this is almost right here. This is almost overcompensation. Getting 2 Vikings and a Thor just because of 1 Void Ray. Of course, Tosh is assuming that Huck's going to continue to get Void Rays, but we, of course, know that that is not the case. Huck's also coming down with this expansion, going to try to capitalize on the amount of damage that he did, taking out those supply depots. Definitely set Tosh back quite a bit, and that's part of the reason why he has so little in terms of units right now, because he was supply blocked. Huck did a good job of taking out a lot of depots. Pylon's still here, ready to be warping in additional units, coming out with the Observer as well, so Huck's going to have a good idea of exactly what Tosh has in the front of his base. Siege Tank is out. Is Siege Tech up yet? Not quite yet, but just about finished. Also coming out with some additional Medivacs. More Immortals pumping out as well for Huck, so he's definitely sticking with this Immortal and Gateway push. And basically, if he can secure this expansion, he's going to be a very good spot. We can see over here, looking at Tosh's base, no plans of an expansion anytime soon. Getting out another barracks as well, that's a little baffling to me. He definitely can't afford this off of one base. This is too many buildings, 3 barracks, a factory, and a starport. That's a bit too much for him to be able to afford. He's going to need an expansion to be able to afford constant production out of all of this. Otherwise, he's just got wasted buildings here that he's not going to be using. Pretty sizable army now, though. He does have some siege tanks, and looks like he's pushing out and going to be pushing out with some SCVs. He's basically in the position where he says, well, I took some damage, so it's time for me to do some damage as well. And, you know, in a preemptive knowledge of the fact that he might be seeing siege tanks and marauders, you can see here with those Immortals, he's going to do a great job against the Thor. He's going to do a great job against the siege tanks. We'll see how this push goes. SCV is going to be coming down, trying to distract some fire. Siege tanks are up. They're going to start shelling out some damage, but there is just too much here for Huck. Even with the SCVs being pulled up, Tosh was way outnumbered when it comes to unit count. Tosh just did not have enough. I think that push was a little bit too early. He was being a little bit too aggressive and trying to do too much too soon when he wasn't prepared for it. We can see this Immortal's laying hell. 4 kills now, that one Immortal. Just absolutely devastating. Tosh does call a good game. So like I said, you know, we tend to see short games on these positions for various reasons, but one of which is that it's difficult to expand, it's difficult to defend expansions, and the other one, of course, is the fact that the run distance is so short. So, I mean, in all honesty, I do feel like Tosh tried to push out a little bit too early. It may have been a smarter move to try to expand, use those siege tanks to defensive abilities, and basically try to bunker up a little bit and try to get up a little bit of economy, because essentially Huck set him back so far by killing the supply depots. It delayed his production so much that he just had too little units. Even bringing up all those SCVs, Tosh was severely outnumbered by Huck's offensive units. So once again, guys, this has been Force from Force Strategy Gaming. If you guys like our videos, then please do go ahead and subscribe to our channel. And as always, keep watching and keep owning, guys. Plan on playing off of these 2 bases. Might be seeing a engagement right here. Zerglings, Speedlings, and Roaches moving down. Those Marines, rather, are definitely going to need to move back. And you can see right there, with proper micro, splitting up the Marines. Kaz did an excellent job of avoiding a majority of that damage from those Banelings. Any lesser player would have lost all those Marines to those Banelings. Watch.